Hello everybody, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Filip Latocha, and today we're going to be discussing my top 5 favorite races that I have done in my entire running career up to this point. So that stems basically from 2015 all the way up to 2020, 2021, however you want to look at it. So more or less, we'll just give you kind of, not necessarily my best performances, but just the ones that I enjoyed the most, or just events overall that had a certain atmosphere to them that ultimately made the race fun and very memorable. So it's going to be kind of a mix-up list, but we'll see if you guys kind of get the vibe of what I've got going on here. So before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. 2021 is going to have a lot of cool content on this channel besides shoe reviews. I'm trying to get my daily vlog started, or at least like some kind of bi-weekly or weekly vlog, depending on how much stuff I can put out. We are going to begin a travel vlog once again, and some other really cool stuff as we are preparing for our 2021 marathon season. Assuming everything goes as planned, I'm crossing my fingers that it does. And then in the comment section below, give me your top 5 favorite races, or if you've done any of the races that I've mentioned, if you agree or disagree with me in terms of whether you like them or not. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, before we get into the top 5 list, I want to give an honorable mention first to the 2016 Chicago Tough Mudder. Basically, there was no medal for this event, but more or less, the genesis of my running career probably started not necessarily completely on the roads, but it was also into like adventure racing. So, I was big on the idea of doing mud runs, adventure runs. At one point, I was trying to do some of those like zombie hide and seek runs at one point, but those just never started panning out. And like for some reason, some of these Tough Mudders, like at least in the Chicagoland and Midwest area, started kind of fading out. But basically, the idea with the mud run was, at the time, if I remember correctly, it was like a 10-mile race, quote unquote, and it was obviously like 20 or 30 different obstacles, give or take. And yeah, ultimately, the most memorable things from the race that I recall was just like all the teamwork on certain obstacles, where if you were in the water, you had to like climb, you know, some kind of like spinning, more or less like a rectangular cylinder, and you had to get people to push weight on the side so you can get across. You know, just it was less of a road race or that kind of activity and more of just like this all around kind of thing. And in a way, I guess there was like a CrossFit element to it. And I know the Spartan Race series is really big on this, or was when they were, you know, still actively having competition, with like doing burpees and all that, but I digress. But like you needed a higher level of physicality other than just running day to day to do well during a Tough Mudder, or to at least get the full experience out of it. I know for a fact, like the Everest jump, I think that's what it's called, where you're running up the half pipe and you have to, you know, catch the edge and then just climb over it. Sometimes people helped you do it. You could do it on your own if you had the upper body strength to push yourself up. So if you practice dips at the gym, it was a really good way of practicing that. And overall, it was just a really cool race. And I remember, based on the number of people there, I think it took like 3 hours to run 10 miles plus all the obstacles. So that's quite a party for, you know, a mud run. And if you've done a mud run before, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's talk about the top 5 list. So number 5 on my list is the O'Hare 5K on the runway race from 2016. More or less, this race was something I signed up for as a suggestion from one of my family friends who later became one of my managers at one of the jobs I held. And basically he just said that, you know, the O'Hare Airport, which is the airport in Chicago, was having a 5K on a runway. And there's not too many instances where you can literally go run across a runway. Like that's basically almost a federal offense to be on the runway in that sense, because of the level of injury and potential risk you create, and like basically halting an operation. So you don't get like a lot of moments in your lifetime to be able to run an entire runway, especially at an airport as busy as O'Hare. So overall, I ran a 23:23 during that 5K, which wasn't great. I was still in this post-injury remediation kind of stage, more or less transitioning from heel striking into like more of this midfoot strike. And in addition, I was training for my first Chicago Marathon, which at the time I think I was running like 15 to 20 miles a week. It was not really great. I guess the biggest highlights of that day was that, of course, it was a really nice day to run. I thought everything was pretty solid on my end. I know that about like 2.5 miles in, I'd like just fried myself, and I was like walking a stage of the 5K, and then I finished the rest of the run in whatever time it was. But I didn't do all that hot. I don't think I placed in like any respectable number, because a 23-minute 5K in my book and in my age group bracket wasn't really respectable anyways, so it's okay. I haven't seen the O'Hare runway races lately. I don't know why they don't continue, unless maybe there's just some kind of like issue and logistics and, you know, busy airports. I don't know what the deal with it is, minus all, you know, the lockdown stuff now. But I haven't seen one of these races in a little while, and I would like to have it come back because I would like to run on the runway once more. Number 4 on my list is the 2018 Chicago Triathlon. And the reason the 2018 Chicago Triathlon was memorable in this particular instance was, well, let's give you a little breakdown. So this would be my second Olympic distance triathlon, because I did this race in 2017 with little to no experience, not really sure of how I was going to handle certain things, but I ultimately did pretty okay in 2017. But 2018 was like the best performance I've ever had of this race, in the sense that I had a lot more confidence in open water swimming, and I was able to swim more or less an open water mile in like under 28 or 29 minutes, which at the time for me was like amazing. I thought that was just probably one of the best accomplishments of any race or triathlon in this instance. So that was a big thing. And of course, being able to jump right off swimming into the bike and having a PR break on that bike course is also amazing. The trick with the Chicago Triathlon is they close off Lakeshore Drive, which is one of the biggest roadways, highways in the city that follows along the lake, for about 7 miles into the race and then 7 miles back. And then you start cutting through the Chicago Transit bus tunnels, and you start following the old Chicago Stockyards, Millennium Park kind of area for the rest of the course on the bike, and then of course you run on like Chicago trails after that. But ultimately, the thing with this race was that I did not bonk at all, and it was one of the first times I finished an Olympic distance triathlon without any stopping, without any like serious cramps or any just, you know, anything falling apart in that instance. And I did run, it looks like a 2 hours and 39 minutes overall for the race, which, you know, it doesn't put me as like a really great finisher or a top qualifier, but it was something that at least I was proud of at the time, because of the fact that I didn't bonk and everything went according to plan as I had hoped. So there we go, Chicago Triathlon 2018. Number 3 on my list. Ooh, this one is the Lake in the Hills Triathlon in Lake of the Hills, Illinois, in 2018. So this is this race right here, wooden medals. Now here's the caveat with this race. You don't get medals for this race if you just finish the race. The reason you get a medal for this race is because you take an age group first place position. And in this particular category, I was, I believe, 26 or 27 at the time of the race. I think I was 26. Does that add up? No, it doesn't. I think I was like 27, I suppose. Anyways, doesn't matter. The trick with this is that the Lake in the Hills Triathlon is a hybrid style race, where you swim about half a mile, maybe like 0.6 miles. You bike about 15 and a half, and then you run 4 or 4.5 miles. So it's like it's a middleman between the sprint and the Olympic distance, and that just kind of makes it a very interesting race overall. And a lot of people choose this race if they've done the Ironman 70.3 Madison, Wisconsin Ironman, because it's like a week or two after that race. So it's a good rebuild after you've basically put in the big heavy work into the 70.3. The point with this one, of course, is this was one of the first times that I decided to sleep in a hotel like on site near the course and just try to rest up. And funny enough, it was me and my dad. We were in the hotel, and like there was a car alarm that entire night during like you know, the morning of the race, and I don't think we slept at all. So like we got to the hotel at like 11 p.m. I was up at like 4:35 a.m. and didn't even sleep one like minute at all. And yeah, ultimately the swim went really well, the bike went really well as of course, and then Yeah, I finished the run and I thought was like a pretty decent time. I just felt like really good overall. I wasn't like in a fully fledged tri-suit at the time. I think I had like a Nike tank at the time, and I don't know if that like messed up my bike performance at all because of the aero and the drag it could have caused. But definitely, when I left the race and I saw the results later, I saw that I had taken first place in my age group. So I did email the organization and asked them if they would just send me the medal. I agreed to pay the shipping fee for it, and I got my medal. And it's pretty sick. They also gave me a mug. It's somewhere over there, but like, yeah, this is what counts the most. Taking age group places when you're not expecting to take them is always a good thing, am I right? So, that's number 3 on our list. It's the Lake and Hills Triathlon. So, number 2 on my list is the Polish Independence 10K run from 2019. And now, why does this race make the list? Well, let's break it down for you. So, first off, this race occurs basically post-Chicago Marathon season, post-hot chocolate, close to like Thanksgiving, because Polish Independence Day is recognized as November 11th. And yeah, basically, this is the second iteration of the race that has ever happened in Chicago. And the first time I did it, I started way in the back of the pack, and like I skyrocketed the entire race, and like eventually got to the front-ish pack by the end of the race. But you know, I didn't do all too well because I was zigzagging through people. I wasn't in the best physical shape in 2018, but I was in a consistent shape, which was always good. And by the time I got onto the line at 2019, there was an expectation to win, and it was one of the first times I ever got to a start line and like had it in my mind that if everything goes well today, I could win this race. Like, more than just an age group finish, I can like actually place at least a top 5, you know. So obviously top 3 is more important, but top 5 definitely. So, it's obviously cold during this race, not a really big deal. I do run and race with headphones, so, like, my music died about 3 minutes in from, like, the cold air, but, like, I had a pretty powerful playlist that I thought was gonna work. It didn't really work, so I did have to, like, obviously start running, more or less without music, which is kind of something, of course, lessons learned. You just gotta go with it. Sometimes it's cool, makes for a lot of fun, but more or less what happened was this race is known for bringing in Polish elite athletes to come in and race. So I think a lot of the field leading up to this race had a lot of Polish representatives, I guess, which is awesome. I think that's really great, racing against, you know, an international elite field, except I'm not an elite athlete, and, you know, it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen during the race when you've got this kind of competition. But obviously by the end of the race, I was running a positive split. I think I ran the 5K in like maybe 16 or 17 minutes. And then I had like somebody trailing me like really close as we were getting to the end of the 10K. And I know I was like falling apart, but I held it as best as I could together. And yeah, obviously I got some footage here that I'll just try to play. And yeah, more or less I finished in 38:01. I did take top 5 during the race. I took first place in my age group, which was the 20 to 29 age group bracket. And it was one of the probably best 10Ks I've ever done in my life. And it was one of the last races I did before 2019 was over. I did have to do a turkey trot after that, but like this was one of the best 10K performances I've ever done. And I just remember it all the time as being obviously one of the most humbling, one of the most mindset-focused races I've ever had in terms of trying to win. So once races start resuming and this one's back on the menu, you know I'm going to take first place on this one. You guys just know it. I will train and make sure I can win this one for sure. So, number 1 on the list is the Chicago Marathon 2018. Now, if you are wondering why I chose 2018 versus 2019, we're going to break this down for you real quick. In 2019, I ran a 3-hour, 10-minute marathon, and in 2018, I ran a 3-hour, 26 marathon. So you're probably wondering, why didn't I choose the marathon that I PR'd in? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. Like I said, I'm not choosing my best races. I'm choosing the races that I thought mentally, physically, and like according to game plan, I accomplished the best. So when we're referring to 2018, basically what happened was there was just an expectation for me to run the entire marathon from start to finish without any stopping, without any bonking, get it all figured out, and more or less just do as best as we can, because the 2 marathons I had done the years before, I had bonked at various points. Like, so my first marathon, I bonked at like mile 11, and it just turned really bad, and I ran like a 4:30 something. The marathon after that in 2017, I bonked at mile 22, and I hated myself for the last 4 miles of that race. I ran like a sub 4 or something like that, or maybe like 4:07, I don't remember. 2018, I don't stop at all during the race. I run the entire thing to the best of my ability. I nail the nutrition, I nail the fluid stations, and most importantly, in this particular instance, I nail the music playlist for the Power 10K at the end of the race. That being said, I'm going to like place some of those songs in this list here, and if you are putting together a running playlist and you want to think of me or the music that I used to more or less stay focused and basically fly through the last 10K of the Chicago Marathon, I'm going to leave these songs for you like right here. A few of them, and then you got to end with the Bring Me Your Horizon song. I think it's Mantra. That might have been the song. I bust through that finish line playing that song, and just like all I thought was, yes, like this is the ultimate like epic finish. And then of course, because you ran the entire thing for 3.5 hours straight, like my legs just felt like this. They went pfft. And after that, you know, the pain and like the soreness and the lactate just started building in the legs, and you're like, oh, that sucks. But anyways, it's memorable in that sense because it was the first time I ran a marathon from start to finish without stopping, without any bonk, without any breaks. The plan was executed 100%, and that's why the 2018 marathon does get humbly recognized as one of my favorite renditions of the Chicago Marathon. I think that's all we've got in this particular list. Again, we'll probably stop it here for now, and then let's be clear that this is as of my 2015 to 2020 race season list, because in 2020 we didn't really race at all, so there's only like 4 years worth of races I could pick from, and this is basically what it is. So, we're going to end on that note. Again, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below your top 5 favorite races you did, maybe why. If you want to discuss these things with me, if you agree kind of with like the assessment of like it's less about PRs and more about like atmosphere, executing a plan perfectly, how you felt after the race, how you're feeling during the race, and then yeah, of course, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. And then if you ran any of these 5 races, please definitely let me know, and we'll see if you agree with this assessment overall. That's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys real soon.